What's going on, y'all? It's GUMGUMTCG here, back again with another video. Today I'm gonna have a Smoker deck profile that I played this last weekend at my local tournament. I cleaned it up 3-0 with Smoker. A lot of people are saying that Smoker isn't as good as it was last format just because of some of the other decks running around. However, I think that with Whitebeard starting to dwindle down because of the recent Forbidden and Limited list, Smoker is a decent choice for this format. I'm not going to hold y'all any longer. Let's go ahead and jump into the deck profile. I'm going to try and make this as brief and quick as possible. Alrighty, y'all, so let's go ahead and get into this deck profile. First, I want to talk about the Smoker leader. If you don't know what he does, he says, Dawn ×1, activate main, once per turn. You can give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost during this turn. Then, if there's a character with a cost of 0, this leader gains 1,000 power this turn. This is really strong when there's a lot of 1 costs on the field, or when you have something like your 10-drop Kuzan or your 8-drop Eshow on the field, reducing stuff already. You can minus something, and you can make it 0 or negative, and then if there is a 0 on the field, he gains the 1,000. A lot of people like to think that if that 0 were to leave the field, he loses the 1,000, but that's not the case, and just know that if you're playing this leader, that doesn't happen. Alright, so we're going to get right into the rest of the cards here. First, we're going to start off with 4 copies of Suru. Suru is a 1-drop 2,000 counter, 0 power. It says on play, give up to one of your opponents -2 cost during this turn. This card's amazing. As a counter, as a card to play, it's amazing. You don't always want to play it, but if you need to reduce something just a little bit to help pop it with a Sakazuki or a Kobe or something like that, it's very, very good for that. Most of the time, you are just holding it as a 2K. However, if I have multiple 2Ks in my hand, this is the one that I hold on to the longest and don't pitch first, because if I need to reduce something, I want to have it in my hand to use later. Alright, next we're going to have 4 copies of Monkey D. Garp. This is a 2-drop 3,000, 2,000 counter. Dawn ×2, when attacking, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. I don't put this card on the field. I only really use it as a 2K counter. It's now searchable off the brand new card, so you can grab it off of that. You can grab Suru, you can grab this, you can grab Tashiki. I have put it on the field before when playing against certain decks, maybe like Law or Zoro or something like that, but for now, I don't really put it on the field. I know it's decent in the Monkey D. Garp deck, but we're not reducing everything all the time, and it's such a small body that it just gets beat over very fast. I'd rather just hold it in my hand as a 2K. Next, we got the new Bald Man himself, brand new. 4 copies of this. Oh my goodness, finally Black has a search card. It's a 2-cost 3,000, 1,000 counter. On play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Navy type card other than brand new, and add it to your hand, then trash the rest. So it's important to note that he says 1 Navy type card and not 1 card including Navy in its type. There's a big difference there, and there's a couple cards in the CP archetype that say that. Because there's CP9, CP0, stuff like that. This can only grab cards that say Navy. So you cannot grab your Kuzan 10-drop off of there because he is a former Navy. I know there's a lot of discrepancy about that, but just wanted to clear that up. It is very nice to have a card that replenishes himself, though, because this deck likes to trash so many cards. I'm happy that we finally got one, and he's got a counter. Definitely a really good first turn play for the deck. Next, we're going to move into the 3-drops. We got 3 copies of Tashigi, 3 cost, 4,000 power, 2,000 counter. Activate main. You can rest this character. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 to their cost during this turn. Definitely good. It's like a Suru that you can activate every turn just by resting it. However, it's a smaller body. It will get beat over pretty easily. You have to protect it with blockers and stuff like that. I'd rather just keep this in my hand as a 2K that's searchable and usable for defense rather than putting it on the field and trying to minus things that way. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have an amazing quality mat from Dueling Guard here that we're doing our deck profile on. If you haven't checked out Dueling Guard, definitely go make sure to check them out. I'll have a link to their website down in the description, as well as a code GUMGUMTCG that you can use for a discount at checkout.
What? You haven't heard of Dueling Guard? Dueling Guard is the best TCG accessory company on the market. They have high quality deck boxes, binders, and playmats made for people who enjoy playing and collecting trading card games in style. They have tons of designs based off of fan favorite animes such as One Piece, Bleach, Full Metal Alchemist, and many more. They hit the ground running earlier this year, making high quality TCG accessories with beautiful designs that have sold out many times, so if you haven't picked up any of their products, make sure to do so before they sell out again. I have a few deck boxes and playmats from them already and can attest to how they don't cut any corners when it comes to quality, performance, and design. I highly recommend their products and use them every time I play cards. Be sure to check the description below for a link to their site and use code GUMGUMTCG for a discount at checkout.
Now let's get into the 3-cost Kobe. We play 4 of this. This is a 3-cost, 4,000 power, 1,000 counter. It says on play, you may trash 1 card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. That is crazy good, especially when you have something like the 10-drop Kuzan on the field. That makes this able to pop 8 or less. When you have Eshow on the field and a Dawn under him, this makes this able to pop 6 or less. This card's crazy strong, really good. 1 Dawn under it makes it so you can attack a leader. Not really much more to say about it. It's one of your best cards in your deck, and now that it's searchable, it's really, really strong. Now we got some new cards, CP9 cards. We are playing 4 copies of Fukuro. Fukuro is a 3-cost, 3,000 attack character with a 1,000 counter. It says this character cannot be KO'd by effects, and it's a blocker. Incredible card. It's a mini Borsalino. It's not searchable off a brand new, but it is so good. Late game, you hold 2 of these, you drop them on the field. Your opponent really can't do anything about it. They can't blow them up. They have to attack you to get rid of these or rest them. Yeah, it's an incredible card, especially when you're playing against a mirror match or something like that. It's just like Borsalino. It's like having 4 more copies of Borsalino in your deck, just not as high strength. Super good. Definitely one of the best cards to come out for black. Yeah, very excited to have this card finally. Now let's start getting into the 4-cost cards. We are running 3 copies of Khalifa. She is a 4-cost, 4,000 power, 2,000 counter. Says on play, draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards. That already is incredible for this deck. There's so many times where your hand is bogged up with Sakazuki, Eshow, Kuzan, 4-drop Kuzan. I mean, just some of these cards can be so dead late game, and you can play this card and just cycle your hand. So after you draw 2 and trash 2, you also get to give something -2. So this card is not only incredible to play on the field, but it also is a 2k counter. Insane card. I'm actually thinking about bumping it up to 4 copies and taking out 1 Tashigi. I know it's not searchable, but I would much rather have this in my hand than the Tashigi, because I can help cycle my hand out. I can give minus cost to something on play. I think this card's just better. I like it a lot. Alrighty, and then we got the man himself, Adam Sandler, Borsalino. You know we're running 4 copies of this. 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1,000 counter. Opponent's turn, this card gains a 1,000 power, and then it is a blocker. So on your opponent's turn, it's 6,000. That makes this card incredible. You toss a 2k, he becomes 8k when you block with them. Just really, really strong card. He also cannot be KO'd by effects on your opponent's turn. So no jet pistol on their turn. There's not often times where this will get KO'd. If they pull a jet pistol out of life while you have one on the field, they can KO it. But yeah, it's such an insane card. You really have to play 4 copies of this in any black deck. This has become the new best blocker in the game, in my opinion, because of the 4-cost Marco going down to 1 copy apiece. If you don't have your copies of this card yet, pick them up. It's an essential card for any black deck. All right, and then we got 4 copies of the 4-cost Kuzan. Now, he's a 4-cost, 5,000 power character. On play, draw a card. When attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters -4 to their cost during this turn. He doesn't have a counter, so he can be a brick sometimes, and if you ever watch my streams, you know that I always draw Kuzan into Kuzan. I will play one of these. It even happens to me in real life. I'll play one of these, and then I'll draw another one. Or I'll play one of these, and I'll draw the 10 cost. It's insane, and I hate it. But it is very strong to have a card that replenishes itself. My favorite thing to look for in this format when opening a hand is a 4-cost Kuzan and a brand new. So on turn 1, I can go brand new, find something, and then I can go turn 2, Kuzan, draw something. So I'm not losing cards, I'm keeping that advantage. That's something that's very important in this deck when you're trashing so many cards from your hand. It's trying to keep up that hand advantage so that your opponent's not gaining a lot of leverage on you with attacking a lot or blowing up your characters or resting them or, killing them. You really have to be careful about throwing cards away. I often take the first 2 life hits immediately when my opponent attacks me. So having a card that draws you a card is really good. And then his minus effect is really strong too late game. If you can keep this thing alive until the late game, nothing is surviving on their board. You can attack their leader, and then you can play a 10 cost Kuzan or a Sakazuki, and you can pop almost anything on the field. This card's incredible. My only complaint about it is that it does not have a counter. Alrighty, now let's look at our 6 cost. We have 4 copies of Sakazuki. You gotta play 4 copies of this card. It's insane. On play, you can trash a card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Absolutely absurd. 6 cost, 7,000 power, so without even any Dawn, he's threatening your opponent's leader, and they have to throw at least 2 cards away for it. Absolutely absurd. I love this card so much. So many good plays you can do with it. You can play Suru, drop this, kill a 7 cost or less. You can have 10 drop Kuzan on the field, and then you can drop this and KO anything. Absolutely anything that is 10 cost or less that can be KO'd. I like to hold at least 1 for late game after I've got an Eshow or a Kuzan on the field, just so if anything problematic gets on the field, like a big block or an 8-drop kid or anything problematic I have to deal with, I can just drop this and get rid of it. Very strong card. Have to run it at 4 if you're playing a Navy deck. Next, we got another new card. We have 3 of the 8 cost Eshow. This card is absolutely absurd against red decks and Law. It makes those matchups a lot more bearable, especially against like Ace and Law specifically. It's an 8 cost, 9,000 power. Dawn times 1, your turn. Give all of your opponent's characters minus 3 cost. That's already like a mini 10-drop Kuzan. So if you're on your curve, right, if you go first turn brand new, then Kuzan, Sakazuki, Eshow, Kuzan, it's just devastating. They really can't deal with that. And then on the next turn, you just drop like 2 or 3 blockers out of your hand, or 2 blockers, and you hold for a shockwave or something like that. It's absolutely insane. But him giving that minus 3 cost makes your Sakazukis and your Kobis a lot more deadly. And his other effect is what really makes him a strong card. On play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. That's crazy. It's so good against Ace. It's so good against Law. All those decks that build crazy advantage just rip their cards away. It is at random. I've seen some people saying, oh no, I get to pick. I get to do this. I like to have my opponent set their cards face down and then I roll a die. It's really however you do it, but it is random. You don't get to see your opponent's hand, but ripping 2 cards out of their hand, I don't care if it's random. It's so strong. All right, let's get into the next card. This is going to be our last character card of the deck. We are playing 3 copies of the 10 cost Kuzan. Now, I want to say, a lot of people are moving away from playing this card, and I don't know why. I really don't get it. This card's insane. It's 10 cost, so it does take your whole turn. I understand that. It's 10,000 power. That's absurd. It beats over almost anything. And then on your turn, your opponent's characters lose 5 cost. 5 cost. That's ridiculous. It makes your Sakazuki able to pop anything. Literally any card on the field can be KO'd then. So I don't know why you wouldn't play this card. It also says on play, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 0. So if they have a 5 cost on the field and then you play this, boom, their 5 cost is gone. It's absurd. Not to mention that the effects stack. So if you go double, you go this turn pop a 5 cost, then you play another one the next turn, you pop a 10 cost, and then everything is 0 on their field. Your Smoker effect is always live. Your Sakazukis are popping everything. Your Kobis are popping everything. It's just absurd. It's really what you need for the deck, and if you're not playing this card, I don't know what you're playing. I really think that this is the best card in the deck. It wins games. When I play this card, I win the game. It's not instant, but if I get this card on the field and it sticks, they don't remove it somehow, it's game winning. I am a little scared moving into set 4 with Red Rock because I could play this and the next turn my opponent can just go Red Rock and it's gone. So I am a little bit worried about that. However, I still think that this card is amazing, and if you're not playing it, you need to be playing at least 2 copies of it. We don't play 4 Eshow or 4 10-drop Kuzan because they're just a little too bricky. There's a lot of times where I don't even play Eshow. My opponent doesn't have 6 or more cards in their hand. It doesn't feel worth playing. I'd rather distribute my Dawn and do some attacks, and the next turn play 10 drop. That's why we don't play 4 copies, is because I really don't like having a lot in my hand, and there's oftentimes late game where you'll have these cards in your hand that have no counter. You'll have 10 drop Kuzan, 4 drop Kuzan, Eshow, and you're just kind of stuck with them. All right, let's get into our events. I am playing 2 copies of Meteor Volcano. It's a 2-cost event. Main, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 1 or less. Sometimes it's a decent going first play. You don't always want to use it. You can hold it for late game when you have something reducing cards on the field, and then you can blow stuff up for really cheap. It also has a trigger. It says draw 2 and trash 1 from your hand. So getting this out of life is really nice. Getting to cycle that hand again, like I was talking about with the Khalifa. Sometimes you have dead cards. You want to get them out of your hand. This can help you. It's not often you'll get this in life, but when you do, it is pretty nice. And I do like the destruction effect, just being able to pop a blocker or something small like that. Just being able to get rid of a small nuisance with only 2 Dawn is pretty good. And now we got the final card of the deck. One of the best events in the game, in my opinion. It is the Shockwave. We are playing 4 copies of this. You always play 4 copies of this in like any black deck. I don't think it matters until a better event comes out. This is the event. 2 cost. It's a counter. Up to one of your leaders or characters gains 4,000 power during this battle. Then KO up to one of your opponent's active characters with a cost of 3 or less. There are so many times where people attack me and they have a blocker on the field, and I just get to blow it up for free on their turn. It feels so good, and it's always worth it. It's incredible. And then it triggers even better. It just KOs up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. It doesn't have to be active. It doesn't have to be rested. It just pops them. It's insane. Getting this out of trigger, or even having this in your hand and blowing something up and defending yourself at the same time, is insane. It's so strong, and I really hope we get some more strong events that are like this. But for now, there's not really any other good black events to play in place of this or with this. So we max out, we play 4 copies. Now I will point out a couple things here. My list has changed pretty drastically since my OP02 format deck list. I was playing all the smoker cards. We were playing the double attack smoker and 3 cost gain 2,000 smoker, but I have removed those cards from the deck just to play other more defensive cards like Fukuro and Khalifa and then Eshow. So removing some of those cards. I was also playing the 5-cost Garp. Like I said, removing some of those cards to play a little bit more defensively and get a little bit more advantage is a lot more worth it in my opinion. So that's why I'm not playing any of those cards. But for now, I think this list is really strong. It's consistent. It does what it does. I think the only change I would make is bumping up the Khalifa by 1 more copy. I would like to run 4 of that. I think that card's incredible. But that's going to be it for today's video, y'all. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching it. I'm going to have more deck profiles out soon. If you're not following me on Twitch, definitely go check me out there. I stream on Fridays and Sundays playing the One Piece TCG Simulator. If you're not in my Discord, definitely get in the Discord. We're trying to grow that to 100 members, and once we hit 100, I'm going to be doing some tournaments and stuff like that. So definitely go check that out. I have a link to that down in the description. If you're not following me on social, go check me out on those. I'll have links to all those down in the description below, as well as a link to Dueling Guard. If you haven't checked out Dueling Guard, definitely go check them out. They have amazing quality products, sweet deck boxes, playmats, binders, better than anything you'll find out there on the market right now. If you use code GUMGUMTCG at checkout, you will get a discount. I'll have a link to that down below in the comments. Thanks so much, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.